I was thinking about Diogenes recently, and I was thinking about how being homeless and being unemployed is actually the best way to live your life. Listen, I have parents who take care of me. I like fucking get home cooked meals by my fucking dad and shit. Like most people, some people don't have that privilege. Some people that or they go father passed away or just like get kicked out when you turn like 19 or something because you have to make something of yourself, right? And true, that is something to be accounted for, right? You need to make something of yourself. But if you look at it, all right, in a perspective, is everything just useless anyways? Like, what's the point of being a king or being a guy who's literally just living under the bridge if we're all gonna fucking end up in the same box in the end? Like, the pawn and the king ends up in the same box when the game ends. You're gonna end up in the same fucking coffin. You're gonna get burned into fucking ashes anyways when you die. Both of you are gonna fucking die. What's the difference? Your legacy doesn't matter. Like, everything's just gonna be perished away. Achilles like fought for legacy so much, but in the end, yeah, sure, we remember his name, but like he's dead. Like, does it really matter? Our Earth will be perished. Like, we will literally be erased on the face of the Earth. We are nothing compared in the vastness of space and time continuum. Does anything really matter? And if nothing really matters, well then, yeah, and we take like nothing materialistic to like the spiritual world, or if there even is a spiritual world, then why do we sacrifice and why do we slave away working some fucking slave white collar jobs or fucking like grinding away in an economic situation, right? To please other people we don't give a fuck about so that we can live like a fucking slave and die eventually like a fucking normie. So if, essentially what I'm getting at here is don't be a normie, guys. You're gonna die anyways. Why do you want? Listen, society needs normies. Society needs slaves. If every single one of us decided all of a sudden to just not work a white collar job, to just not work, any sort of jobs and just live on the bridges, then society would collapse. That's why they need to condition you to obey. That's why the academic, institutions, all the institutions really, even the family institution tries to like condition you to obey to the master, otherwise you'll be physically punished. And that's why Soviet Russia had the gulag when it didn't work over there, because essentially communism feels like that. You essentially like the people who don't work and the people who work and the people who work even greater jobs, right? Like a doctor, a dentist will earn the same as some random construction worker, right? Essentially, this is communism. We're all equal, and we all earn the same. But that's why communism fails. We aren't all equal. A doctor can be compared to a fucking plumber, and both of these guys can't eat potatoes, right? There has to be a significant difference, otherwise the institutions will be inefficient. But that's another topic for another day. What I'm getting at is that the guys who don't work are still equal because they still need to eat something. Everyone, this is how the market works in a communistic country. So in order to stop that, in order to stop this flow of like the people who literally like just profit off fucking potatoes without working themselves, they would be sent to the gulag and do forced labor. So society needs labor. If you aren't gonna do labor, you are literally like, of course, we aren't in Soviet, we aren't in communistic country, but just keep in mind that the government would like you to do forced labor, even if you don't want to work. But here's the thing. Thank God to Romans and like Greek philosophy, we can now live in a democracy where we literally just don't have to work. We can literally be a homeless crackhead in the streets, and nothing like there's pretty much nothing can change about that except some random guy just kidnaps you and harvests your organs. But that's another topic for another day. And Diogenes was a philosopher who was a homeless crackhead. He gave up all his material possessions to live in a jarhead, like in an actual big old jar, around street dogs, with like jerk off in public, shit, piss in public, and that supposedly died by like holding, like literally like suffocating death by just stopping breathing, like doing this and fucking dying, so that the like fucking nature can consume him. He wasn't even buried and shit. That was a proper lad, that. But anyhow, the reason why I'm calling his name and the reason why he's such a legend is because Alexander the great conqueror, the king, right, actually came up to him and told him, like, pretty much gave him, like, told him whatever he wants, he could give him, a man like Diogenes. And Diogenes just like fucking like looked up to him and just said get out of his way. His wish was for him to get out of his way because he's blocking his son. And then Alexander the Great actually said to his men, if he wasn't an Alexander the Great, he would wish to be a Diogenes. What does that mean? What does the king of the world mean by saying that he would rather be a homeless crackhead if he wasn't, a king? Well, it pretty much means that the greatest man on earth, probably one of the greatest men who's alive on earth, is actually telling you guys that being free, having like total freedom, being literally not confined to anything in this world would mean to become a homeless crackhead. So we should all be homeless crackheads. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more now. I'm just kidding. But listen, guys, a lot of people, a lot of normies nowadays, tend to choose neither to be an Alexander, neither to be a Diogenes, but rather to be in the middle. They would work hard so that they can get an education, so that they could work a normal job, but then stop right there and not, invest in other assets or not try to become the richest conqueror they can ever be like Alexander. But they will also, not have the courage to not read, to not fucking like go up the academic institutions, to not get a job and be a complete homeless crackhead. There are very little people who want to be a homeless crackhead. And there are also very little people who want to be an Alexander the Great, a conqueror, a billionaire. Like Trump, Elon Musk, and all these other guys. These are the modern era Alexander, typically, or some other politicians. So, what's my point here? Guys, don't be a normie. Don't be the guy in the middle. Either choose to be a homeless crackhead, right? Or choose to work your way to become a king. Like the pawn. Either like you're a pawn in a chessboard. Try and like move your way. Like every single round, every single time you can move your piece, move your pawn, you have to move that shit all the way there so that you can become a queen. Obviously, don't cut your dick off and become a queen. That's not the metaphorical way I'm speaking about here. I'm talking about gradually make your way into becoming an Alexander, but don't settle in becoming someone in the middle. Choose either to become a homeless crackhead like Diogenes, or choose either to become a great man like Alexander. We have only one life, guys. Don't be this guy in the middle. Do the extreme. Be extreme. You have to be extreme when we're fucking competing in life. Either we choose one way in life either we choose one complete extreme where we are fucking like actually giving up on fucking materialistic belongings and like going for complete monk mode. Or either we are going to the fucking greatness of Alexander the Great. We are trying to become the best versions of ourselves. Either way, we're gonna die anyways. Some may say it's better to be a Diogenes because you're gonna die anyways. But what I don't like and what we don't want to see people doing, what most people do, the sheep, is they go in the middle and they become normies because they're cowards. They don't want any of the extremes. Guys, don't be a coward. It's hard. It's hard, guys. Life is hard. Life is tough. I want to cry sometimes, guys. When I fight, when I do Muay Thai, it's fucking hard to go into a ring. You want to fucking cry in the locker room. You want to cry on your way through the fucking ring. Alright? And when you lose, it still hurts like a bitch. If you had a bad fight. If you have a good fight, yeah, you're pretty proud of yourself. And if you win, you're very proud of yourself. But life is hard, guys. And we have to do hard stuff. I don't want to be a normie. That's why I do things which are not normal, like fight in the ring. No normie will fight in the ring. No random guy who works a 9 to 5 who's blue pilled, who might wish to have fought fucking 3 out of 10 wife, who had like 5 other boyfriends or had like multiple intercourses before he even met this guy, will ever do. Why? Because I don't want to live that life. I know I have only one life to live. Alright? And I want to make myself at least like a conqueror. Not to the level of Alexander. I don't think I can reach that level. I don't think anyone can reach that level in the new era, but at least I can try to make the very best I can with my life and not end up in the middle. What Diogenes can teach us, what Diogenes and Alexander can teach us, is that there are two extremes. We either choose one, but not end up in the middle. There's nothing in the middle. There's like actual nothingness in the middle. You will actually become a normie. But the best way to implement this would be to go slightly further than the middle. To go the direction of Alexander, right? To become like a fucking king. But also understand that everything you have in life is just material possessions, and that this shit will not carry you over to the next life or when we die. So don't take anything in this world too hard that much. Don't believe you're pressured to do anything you don't want to do in this life. Sure, we have honor, we have responsibilities, but you're gonna die anyways. One thing that Diogenes did was that no matter, he understood that this life would end and that he can carry nothing over, but he would still train his mind. He would still work out. He would still like literally go barefoot on sand. I think when it was like very hot, just to test out his mind, his like ironclad mind. He would reinforce his mind like fucking David Goggins style. Why would he do that if nothing would carry over? I still don't know why he would do that, but he did it anyways. He reinforced his ironclad mind. Guys, follow these philosophers, follow these great guys. Actually, I want to touch on something a little, I actually want to touch on something more. Post, like, this modern society wants us to become white collar slaves so much. It's kind of like Fight Club, right? We are slaves with white collars. We're the middle children of history, man. No great wars, no great depression. But anyhow, Romans would actually consider your work ethic, like just straight up working, like me doing this shit, as unproductive. Like crazy, right? That's why there were so many political debates back then, so many arguments, because real, like, actual living, like real life, like living your fullest and actually being productive meant literally just lying in bed, having a relaxing time in the bathhouse with the boys, and arguing, literally like having various diplomatic discussions with each other in like the center of the time in like the town market over there. This was considered as real living, and the reason they could do that, the Romans, is essentially because there were so many slaves back then, right? The jobs of constructing, of like plumbing and all this shit was be done by slaves. Farming would be done by peasants and slaves, right? So like the elites could just literally just talk all day, bathe all day, and not work as much, since it was backed by slaves. But now we live in a society where we don't have slaves. So how do we replace slaves? Well, we get the normies, we get the general population to be just slave work and consider it productive. Don't fall for this lie, alright? Pretty much find a purpose, find some way to become a king, to become rich as fuck, guys. Just find some way to become what rich means, what real wealth means. It's just that you have enough money to just not work any other day for the rest of your lives. Do something which you can literally earn income passively or something, or not literally have to be a slave for. Unless you want to be a lawyer or something, unless you want to be a doctor, like you really want to do it, just don't do it, guys. Don't fall for your parents' pressure for you to go to university, to school. Don't fall for any guys, when your family members or society's pressure for you to get a job you don't really want. You can live under a bridge. You can find some way to work it out, alright? As long as you're still hustling, as long as you still have the bigger goal in mind, all right? No matter how many people doubt you, no matter how many people like literally don't believe in you, do what your heart tells you to do. That's something else that John McCarthy also said. Like, reality is a construct. Like, literally do what you will, guys. I'm gonna say it again. Memento mori. Remember death. We're gonna die one day. So do what you really want to do. I'm not telling you to become a fat fuck, alright? I'm not telling you to go out there, alright, after watching this video and just like fucking play video games all day. Sure, I play video games sometimes, but I understand that I have to work. I have like important real work to do so that I can create myself into this man I want to become, into this Alexander, right? So go out there and try and become the best version of ourselves we can be, alright? Don't just listen to anyone. Increase yourself, other man, any way you can, because you understand that it's better to be an Alexander or a Diogenes, but it's not okay to be a normie. So don't be a normie. Go out there and do things which other people won't do. Alright? Create a legacy for yourself. Alright? When you have a son, your son will look at your story like your fucking law and have to be amazed by what you have done in this life. That's how you live a good life. And that's pretty much how to not become a normie. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more. I'll see you all on the next one.